I'm a 34-year-old guy, and I've been married to Lisa 32 Fef for 5 years. If you asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said we had a solid marriage. Sure, her family never really liked me, but I thought Lisa and I were a team. Turns out, I might have been very, very wrong. Lisa comes from old money, not billionaire rich, but the kind where her parents still use words like pedigree and care way too much about social status. I come from a regular middle-class background. I have a stable career in software development. I make good money, and I thought that was enough. But to Lisa's family, I was never the right kind of person. They've never been openly hostile, but they don't have to be. The little digs at family dinners, the polite but pointed questions about my long-term career plans, and the way her father always manages to bring up one of Lisa's exes, a hedge fund guy who's now a millionaire. It's always been there. Lisa usually rolls her eyes when they do it, but she never really calls them out. I thought it was just snobbery. Annoying, sure, but harmless. Then came last weekend. Lisa's parents invited us to a family dinner at their estate. A big formal affair, like always. White tablecloths, multiple forks, a house that looks more like a museum than a home. The usual. We were halfway through dinner when Lisa's father casually dropped a bombshell. He looked right at Lisa, swirling his wine, and said, "Lisa, dear, your mother and I have been thinking. We know you settled in your marriage. We've never judged, of course, but we want to give you options." Then he smiled, took a sip of his wine, and said, "We'll give you $500,000 to leave him. A fresh start fund." The table went silent. I half expected Lisa to slam her fork down, tell him to go to hell, something, anything. But she just laughed. Not a real laugh, but an awkward, nervous one. "Dad, that's ridiculous," she said. But she never actually said no. I was frozen. I kept staring at her, waiting for her to say something, anything, to shut it down completely. But she just shook her head and kept eating. Her mother looked pleased. Her brother, the one who's always looked down on me, smirked like it was the funniest thing in the world. Dinner continued like nothing had happened. I felt like I was in some kind of alternate reality. Lisa's father just offered her $500,000 to leave me, and everyone was acting like he'd just offered her a second helping of potatoes. On the drive home, I finally asked, "Why didn't you tell them to go to hell?" Lisa sighed, staring out the window. "I didn't want to make a scene," she said. I gripped the steering wheel. "A scene? Your dad literally offered to buy you out of this marriage." "Lisa," she waved a hand. "You know how they are. They're dramatic." It wasn't serious. I couldn't let it go. "You should have shut it down immediately." "Why didn't you?" She was quiet for a second too long. I just wasn't expecting it. That didn't sit right with me. If someone offered me money to leave my wife, I wouldn't need a second to think. It'd be a flat-out no. No hesitation. No awkward laughs. No, I didn't want to make a scene. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lisa got into bed like nothing was wrong, but I just lay there staring at the ceiling. After an hour, I got up and went to the living room. A little after midnight, Lisa came out, rubbing her eyes. "What are you doing?" I looked at her, and for the first time since dinner I asked the question that had been gnawing at me. "Did you consider it?" She frowned. "What?" I didn't blink. "The offer. Did you actually consider it?" She hesitated. Not long, maybe 2 seconds. But it was 2 seconds too long. Then she said, "It's a lot of money, OP." I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. "Are you serious?" She ran a hand through her hair. "I love you. This isn't about that, but $500,000 would change my life. Her life, our life. We were married. At least I thought we were." I stood up, shaking my head. "Wow. Okay." Lisa reached for my arm. "Come on. You're blowing this out of proportion." I pulled away. "Am I? Because it sounds like you actually thought about it." She didn't deny it. She didn't say, "Of course not, OP, I'd never leave you for money." She just stood there looking frustrated that I was even making this a big deal. I grabbed a pillow from the couch. "I'm sleeping out here tonight." She rolled her eyes. "Seriously?" I didn't answer. I just lay down, staring at the ceiling, listening to her walk back to the bedroom. I don't know what's worse, that her family made the offer or that, even for a second, she actually considered taking it. All I know is that our marriage will never be the same again. Update 1. Lisa acted like nothing had happened. The next morning she made coffee, scrolled through her phone and asked if I had any weekend plans. Like her father hadn't just offered her $500,000 to leave me. Like she hadn't hesitated before rejecting it. I answered in short sentences, but she either didn't notice or pretended not to. She kissed my cheek before heading out the door. Off to a yoga class like it was just another Saturday. I sat there for a long time, staring at the table. I could still hear her father's voice in my head. A fresh start fund. Then Lisa's voice, softer. "It's a lot of money, OP." I didn't want to start another argument, but the doubt wouldn't leave me alone. Was she picturing her life without me, but with $500,000 in her pocket? I needed to talk to someone. I called Mark, my best friend since college. We met up for lunch, and I told him everything. Mark didn't hold back. If my wife even paused at that offer, I'd be done. He leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. "There's nothing to think about, man. She either shuts it down or she doesn't." I didn't argue, because he was right. I just hadn't wanted to hear it. Then Mark said something that sent a chill down my spine. "You should check your accounts, just in case." I almost laughed. Lisa and I had shared finances for years. We both had separate checking accounts, but everything big, mortgage, bills, savings was joint. I trusted her, but that trust was already cracked. So when I got home, I logged into our banking app, just to prove Mark wrong. And then I saw it. A newly opened savings account in Lisa's name. My hands felt weirdly numb as I clicked into it. It had a few $1,000s in it, not a life-changing amount, but enough to make me wonder, had she opened this before or after her father's offer? I heard the front door open. Lisa walked in, dropping her gym bag by the door. She looked up and frowned when she saw me sitting at the kitchen table, phone in hand. "What's up?" I turned my screen toward her. "When did you open this?" Her whole face changed. Her shoulders stiffened, her expression closing off. "Why are you looking at my accounts?" I stood up. "Just answer the question." "Lisa," she crossed her arms. "I wanted my own savings. Is that a crime?" "That's not an answer." She sighed, shaking her head. "I opened it last month, before the dinner. Happy. I wasn't. And you never mentioned it?" "I didn't think I had to. It's my money, OP." I exhaled slowly, trying to keep my voice calm. "Are you preparing to leave?" She looked at me like I was crazy. "What? No." "Then why?" "Because I wanted something that was just mine." She snapped. "I love you, but you handle everything. The bills, the investments, all of it. I just wanted a little independence." I wanted to believe her, but after last night, I couldn't. "Just admit it," I said. "You're considering taking the money." She scoffed. "Do you hear yourself? You sound paranoid." I sound like a guy whose wife hesitated when she got offered $500,000 to leave him. Her expression wavered for a split second. Then she grabbed a water bottle from the counter and took a long drink before answering. "I haven't made a decision," she said finally. "But I'm not ignoring an offer like that either." Everything inside me went cold. Before I could respond, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and let out a breath before answering. It was her mother. She kept her voice casual, acting like nothing was wrong. But then she turned her back to me, dropping her voice into a whisper. "You don't have to struggle forever, sweetheart." I walked out of the kitchen before I could hear the rest. I grabbed a duffel bag and started throwing clothes into it. Lisa appeared in the doorway. "What are you doing?" I zipped the bag shut, giving you space to think. Her face crumpled. "I don't want you to leave." "Then choose," I said. "Our marriage or the money?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I just need time." That wasn't what I wanted to hear. I walked out. Update 2. I crashed at Mark's place that night. He didn't say "I told you so." He just handed me a beer, turned on the TV, and let me sit there in silence. I didn't sleep much. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could hear was Lisa's voice. "I just need time." Morning came. Then afternoon. I didn't reach out, and she didn't either. Just radio silence. No calls. No texts. By evening, I gave in and sent a simple message. "Have you made a decision?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. When she finally replied, it was just one word. Thinking. That was it. No reassurance. No apology. Nothing. I was still staring at the screen when my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Lisa. It was her brother. "Just a heads up. Lisa met with Dad today. Don't know what she decided, but I thought you should know." My stomach dropped. She didn't even tell me. I called her immediately. She picked up after a few rings. There was no panic in her voice. No urgency. Just tired indifference. I asked why she met with them. She sighed. "I just wanted to hear them out." The words sent a white-hot bolt of anger through me. Hear them out. Lisa didn't even flinch. I figured I owed it to myself to at least listen. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So you went to negotiate your way out of this marriage?" She exhaled sharply, like I was the one being unreasonable. "You're twisting this into something it's not." I was about to argue, but then she said something that stopped me. "Hold." The offer went up. Silence. "They're offering $750,000 now." I barely recognized my own voice when I spoke. "And you still needed to hear them out." Lisa hesitated. "I was just curious." I hung up. Mark was sitting on the couch, watching me carefully. "Let me guess," he said. "It got worse." I told him everything. He didn't sugarcoat it. "She's shopping for a better deal, man. You're her backup plan." I didn't want to believe it, but deep down, I knew he was right. I got in my car and drove straight home. Lisa was sitting at the dining table, scrolling through her phone. When she saw me walk in, she set it down and folded her hands in her lap, bracing herself. I didn't waste time. "Are you staying or are you taking the money?" She didn't answer right away. For the first time, I saw real conflict in her expression. Her fingers twisted in her lap. She opened her mouth, closed it. Then finally, "I don't know if I can turn it down." The words knocked the air out of my lungs. I had given her time. Space. I had left so she could figure out where she stood. And in the end, this was what she came back with. Not "I want to fight for us." Not "screw my parents and their money." Just uncertainty. I felt my keys in my pocket. My grip tightened around them. I stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. Lisa's eyes flickered with something unreadable. I didn't yell, didn't argue, didn't beg. I just said, "Then I don't know if I can stay." I turned and walked out the door. She didn't stop me. And that silence told me everything I needed to know. Update 3. I walked out, leaving Lisa in silence. I didn't slam the door, didn't yell, didn't wait for her to stop me, just walked. Back to my car, back to Mark's place. Mark didn't ask questions when he opened the door. He took one look at me, disappeared into the kitchen, and came back with a beer. I sat on the couch staring at the ceiling. Mark didn't push, didn't say I told you so, just let the silence settle. At some point, I fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the blinds. My phone was on the coffee table. I reached for it, already expecting what I saw. No missed calls, no messages. Lisa hadn't even tried to reach me. Mark walked in, tossing me a granola bar. So what's the plan? I didn't answer. He sat down across from me. Look, man, she's already halfway out the door. Don't let her screw you over on the way out. I gave him a look. Mark shrugged. Talk to a lawyer. At least know what your options are. I chewed on that thought all morning. By noon, I pulled up a law firm's number, stared at it for a full minute before dialing. A receptionist answered, asked a few basic questions, then patched me through. The lawyer was straight to the point. Are there any joint assets, property, shared accounts? I gave him the rundown. The house was in both our names, so were our savings, but Lisa had that new private account. He hummed. You need to get ahead of this. If she decides to take the money, she might try to bleed your joint accounts first. Lock them down. A punch to the gut. It felt too real now. I thanked him, hung up, and sat there, gripping my phone. Then finally, Lisa called. I let it ring twice before answering. Can we talk? I agreed, but I wasn't walking in blind this time. Lisa was sitting at the dining table when I got home, her hands folded in front of her. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. She took a shaky breath. I don't want to leave. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. But you don't want to stay either. She hesitated. Then barely above a whisper, I'm scared of losing financial security. That hit harder than I expected. I pushed off the counter. So being with me isn't freedom. Lisa didn't answer. I exhaled sharply. I'm not gonna beg. I'm not gonna convince you. I just need the truth. She wiped at her eyes. I don't know what to do. I nodded slowly. Then, I'll make it easy. She looked up. One night, that's all you get. Stay and cut ties with them. Or take the money and leave. No more I need time. No more I'm just scared. She swallowed hard. Okay. I walked out. The next evening, my heart was pounding as I unlocked the door. Lisa was sitting at the table. A check for $750,000 lay in front of her. She had made her choice. Update 4. Lisa didn't say anything at first. She just sat there staring at the check in front of her. Her fingers were curled around the edges, gripping it like it was the last piece of control she had left. When she finally looked up, her eyes were red-rimmed, her face blotchy from crying, her voice cracked when she spoke. I'm so sorry. I nodded once. Then we're done. Her breath hitched. It's not about not loving you, she rushed out. It's about stability. I don't want to struggle forever. I scoffed. You were never struggling. You just wanted an easy way out. She flinched like I had slapped her, but I wasn't going to soften it. Not after everything. I walked past her and grabbed a suitcase from the closet. Lisa stood up, tears streaming down her face now. Please, don't do this like this. I didn't stop packing. You already left, Lisa. I'm just catching up. Her shoulders shook with quiet sobs, but I didn't look at her. When I was done, I pulled out my phone and called Mark. Be there in 5, he said, no questions asked. Lisa stood in the hallway watching me as I wheeled my suitcase to the door. She didn't try to stop me. She didn't beg me to stay, and that told me everything I needed to know. Mark pulled up fast. He didn't say anything at first, just popped the trunk and waited. I tossed my suitcase in, shut the lid, and got in the passenger seat. As soon as we pulled away, he let out a low whistle. That bad? I leaned my head back. Worse. Mark didn't push for details. He just drove. I texted my family that night. My mom was heartbroken. My dad just responded with, good riddance. The next morning, I found out Lisa's parents were celebrating. A mutual friend sent me a text. Dude, Lisa's mom literally said, finally, our daughter is free of that burden. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I called my lawyer. Lisa took the money. That much was clear. I wasn't about to give her another cent. Within days, my lawyer drafted the paperwork. I made sure she couldn't touch any of my assets. Our joint accounts were locked, and I had proof she was the one who chose to leave. It was cleaner than I expected. Lisa didn't contest anything. She just signed. A few days later, Lisa's name popped up on my phone. I didn't answer. A minute later, a text came through. I feel empty. I stared at it. Then I locked my phone and put it face down. That night, Lisa's cousin reached out. Hey, just thought you should know. She's miserable. Keeps crying about how you actually left. That was the part that got me. Like she hadn't expected me to. Like I was supposed to wait around while she decided if I was worth more than a check with 6 figures. Another text. Can we talk? I read it. Then I deleted it. No response. I started therapy. Not for Lisa. For me. My therapist listened to everything. The offer. The hesitation. The final choice. Then he said something that stuck. You didn't lose her. She lost you. It sank in. Lisa lost someone who would have been by her side for life. I lost someone who saw me as replaceable. Update 5. A few weeks passed. The divorce papers were finalized. My life moved on. Lisa's, on the other hand, wasn't going as smoothly. Word got around. Mutual friends mentioned that despite getting the $750,000, she wasn't as free as she expected. Her father controlled everything. She had the money but not the power. Lisa's father didn't just hand her a check and let her live her life. He kept it locked in a family-managed account, controlling how she could spend it. Rent, approved. Luxury shopping, limited. Travel, only if she proved it was necessary. The so-called Fresh Start Fund, more like a glorified allowance. On social media, Lisa played the part well. Carefully curated posts about her exciting new chapter, smiling selfies, captions about personal growth. But people who saw her in real life told a different story. She looks miserable. She barely talks to anyone anymore. She's not the same. The girl who left for a better future, turns out, she walked into a gilded cage. Then came the kicker. Lisa's parents introduced her to a family friend, wealthy, successful, exactly the kind of upgrade they had wanted for her all along. They weren't just controlling her money, they were setting her up for marriage. The guy, Ryan, was a finance bro, 10 years older, stiff, formal. Lisa hated him. She didn't get a say. Her mother started nudging things forward. Small dinner invitations, group outings, comments about how Ryan is such a stable man. Friends noticed the shift. Lisa, once so sure of her choice, now seemed trapped. A friend who still talked to Lisa dropped a bombshell. She thought she'd feel happy, they said, but she feels trapped. She had expected freedom. What she got was another leash, tighter, shorter, and controlled by the people she thought were helping her. Mark didn't mince words when he heard. She left for money, he said. Now she's being controlled by money. Karma's a bitch. I didn't argue. Then out of nowhere an email. Subject: I need to tell you the truth. It was long, painfully long. Lisa poured her heart out. I was pressured into taking the money. I thought it was the right decision. I miss you. She painted herself as a victim, trapped, manipulated. Maybe she was, but she still chose it. I replied with just one sentence. You chose money over love. Now live with it. No more explanations. No more second chances. A day later, another email. I'd give up the money if you took me back. I didn't respond, because deep down, I knew she'd regret that too. I started dating, not seriously, just enough to remind myself there was life beyond Lisa. The first few dates felt weird, forced, but eventually I stopped thinking about her, stopped wondering what if, stopped caring. A year later, I heard Lisa got engaged to Ryan, the guy her parents set her up with. If she had stayed, we would have been celebrating our anniversary. Instead, she was walking down the aisle with a man she never wanted. Months later, one last email. I wish I had chosen differently. I didn't even open it, just deleted it. Update 6. A year passed. I moved on. Work was good, life was steady, and Lisa was nothing but a memory I had long buried. But then the rumors started. Lisa's engagement had been rushed, practically forced by her parents. They wanted to make sure their daughter secured a proper future after her mistake with me. The wedding, a business arrangement. Her new husband, Daniel, was exactly what her parents wanted. Wealthy, old money, the type who cared more about family status than actual love. But there was another thing about him. He was twice divorced, and both ex-wives had the same complaints. Daniel was controlling. Rumors spread quickly. Lisa's friends noticed changes. She never spoke freely around him. She smiled, but it never reached her eyes. She got the money, the security, the better future, but she traded one leash for another. Lisa kept up the act online. Her posts showed picture-perfect vacations, fancy dinners, luxury shopping trips, but the captions told a different story. Sometimes we don't choose our paths, they choose us. Happiness is about accepting what life gives you. Nothing about love, nothing about passion, just empty words. Then, out of nowhere, I got a message. One of Lisa's old friends. Someone who had been at her wedding. She doesn't love him. She just did what her parents expected. I read it twice before locking my phone. Not my problem anymore. I told Mark over drinks. He didn't even blink. So she left you for money twice? She deserves whatever she gets. For once I didn't even disagree. Lisa's parents did everything they could to erase her past. Mutual friends said she wasn't allowed to bring up my name. She wasn't allowed to speak to anyone connected to me. They made sure she moved on, whether she wanted to or not. Her wedding had been massive. The kind with designer dresses, chandeliers, a 5-course meal, but people who attended whispered about the way she looked, like a prisoner in a golden cage. The perfect daughter, the perfect wife, but nowhere close to happy. Seeing Lisa's fate, I realized something. I didn't lose her. She lost me, and she would have lost me again, whether it was for this money or the next offer down the line. If someone struggles to choose between love and money, they never really loved you in the first place. Lisa's first year of marriage wasn't what she expected. Daniel was emotionally distant, treating her like an accessory, not a wife. Their conversations were brief. Their marriage was a transaction. But now, she had no way out. Her parents refused to support another divorce. For the first time in her life, Lisa was truly stuck. One night, my phone buzzed. A private message from Lisa. Do you ever think about what we could have been? I stared at the screen, then I swiped left, blocked. Lisa thought she was choosing freedom. Instead, she handed control of her life over to the very people she wanted to escape. Update 7. A full year passed. Life had moved on. I was in a solid relationship. Not some rebound, but something real. Work was going great. I'd gotten promoted, started traveling more, and honestly, I was happier than I'd ever been. Lisa, not so much. The perfect fairy tale life her parents had orchestrated. It was cracking at the seams. Mutual friends had plenty to say. She's miserable. They barely speak to each other. She thought she was choosing security, but she just put herself in a cage. Lisa had money, sure, but she had no love, no freedom, no control over her own life. On Instagram, everything looked flawless. Lisa posted a picture-perfect anniversary post with Daniel, matching outfits, expensive vacation, champagne glasses raised in celebration. The caption, a beautiful year with my love. Grateful for this journey. The reality, they sleep in separate rooms. They barely see each other. She's a trophy wife. Nothing more. Then out of nowhere, an old friend of Lisa's reached out. She regrets everything. They said, she thought she was choosing security, but she just put herself in a cage. She wishes she had chosen you. I didn't even flinch. When I told Mark, he laughed. She didn't just lose you, she lost everything. I just nodded. The rumors started swirling. Lisa wanted out, but her parents, they weren't having it. They had invested in this marriage. Another divorce, another embarrassment, not an option. She's trapped, someone told me. Her family refuses to let her leave. She left me for financial independence. Now she had less freedom than ever. Then the explosion happened. At a family event, one of those over-the-top, elite gatherings, Lisa's parents lived for. She snapped, in front of everyone, screamed at her parents, told them they ruined her life, told them she had nothing, no real love, no control, no happiness. People just stood there, watching, stunned. Her mother tried to calm her down. Lisa wasn't having it. Then, she broke down sobbing, right there, in the middle of the event. That night, I got a message from Lisa. I wish I could undo everything. I stared at it, let the words sink in. Then, I deleted it. No response. Because the truth was, I won. I built a life of my choosing. Lisa became a puppet in the one her parents forced on her. Update 8. A year and a half passed. Lisa's life had been a slow-motion collapse, one that everyone saw coming, except her. Then, the final blow landed. Lisa finally left Daniel. Or more accurately, Daniel let her go. Rumors spread that their marriage had been ice-cold for months. Lisa wanted out, but Daniel didn't fight it. Maybe he got bored. Maybe he realized he could find someone else who actually wanted to be there. Either way, Lisa's second marriage ended just like her first. But this time, she walked away with nothing. Daniel had controlled their finances from day one. The accounts, his name first. The assets, in his name. The prenup, ironclad. Lisa didn't just leave the marriage. She left broke. She had less than she did when she was with me. She thought she was choosing wealth, security. Now she was starting from scratch. She went to them, of course, begged them for support. Her father's response, "You've embarrassed this family enough." They had backed her once, arranged a picture-perfect life for her. She ruined it, and in their world, you only get one bailout. They cut her off. No money, no family support, no safety net. For the first time in her life, Lisa was truly alone. She left me for financial security. Now she had less security than ever. No backup plan, no golden parachute. For the first time, Lisa actually understood what real stability meant, but it was too late. Then, of course, the email came. Subject, can we catch up? A long apology, a soft attempt at conversation, a casual, I'd love to hear how you've been, as if we were long-lost friends. I laughed. Then I deleted it. Right after that, her social media changed. Suddenly, the luxury photos disappeared. In their place, inspirational quotes, self-reflection posts. Sometimes life teaches us hard lessons, but we grow. Starting over is scary, but it's also beautiful. Her way of coping, I guess. But I knew the truth. Lisa didn't choose growth. She had no other choice. By then, even her old friends had grown tired of her. She burned too many bridges. She made her bed. Now she's lying in it. She only reaches out when she's desperate. They moved on. Lisa, for the first time in her life, had no one left to run to. Me, I had never been happier. I got engaged. To a woman who actually loved me. For me, no conditions, no calculations. Just love. A friend leaked that Lisa lost it when she heard. Apparently, she cried for days. She had convinced herself that I would always be there, somewhere in the background. That one day, she could rewrite the past. She was wrong. Among the people who once admired her, Lisa was now a cautionary tale. The girl who threw away real love for money and ended up with nothing. People whispered about her at events. The same family friends who once envied her life. Now they just shook their heads. When I told Mark the latest update, he snorted. She wanted financial security. Well, she got it, just not in her own bank account. I nearly spit out my drink. A year after her divorce, Lisa tried one last time. A single message. Do you ever think about us? I blocked her number. No hesitation. No second thoughts. Some doors once closed should never be reopened. Sitting on a beach with my fiancé, I thought about how different my life could have been. How close I came to a future built on doubt, betrayal, and insecurity. Lisa thought she was making the smart choice. Turns out it was the worst decision of her life. And me. I had never been more grateful.